Guys, welcome to another episode of Jack's Reading Corner. I am Jack, and I realized while I was watching reruns of Buffy again for like the third time, I have willow hair, or at least season 4 willow hair. It does get long again. Unfortunately, I'm not good at managing long hair. But I was pleased that I have the fourth, even though the fourth season is not my favorite season overall. It was kind of cool that I have willow hair. I have the same hair that she had in that season. So I am off tomorrow, but then I have to work on Monday and Tuesday, but I'm off again on Wednesday. Unfortunately, I'm not getting Thursday off like I got last week, which is fine. I mean, I probably need it with my spending habits. Unfortunately, it's something that I need to learn how to control, and I'm not doing a very good job. And that included spending money on another book. So I got this. This is one of the books I've been meaning to get. Like, it was either this one or Wicked Saints when I got it when I went to Costco the other day last week, because they had the hardback editions for $11.99 at Costco, which I showed you guys the ones I ended up getting, which was Enchante and then Wicked Saints, of course. So I got, because we went to Betsy's Grapes, which is not very far from the bookstore. It's walkable. It's only like a block or so away. So my mom was like, alright, you can go there. I mean, you really don't need to buy another book, but, you know, since we're here and you got 2 hours before you have to work, she let me. And, I mean, I'm an adult, so, yeah, she can request that I not buy books, but in the end, she couldn't really forbid me to buy a book. I mean, but I am a good kid most of the time, so I do try and exercise a tiny bit of restraint, and I'm just honestly not, I admit I'm horrible at that, but I do try to. But either way, following all 3 of them, I got Wicked Saints, this is the one I got yesterday, and then Wicked Saints along with the other one. But anyway, I can hear sounds of dinner getting ready, so this probably won't matter, and I'll have to refilm this anyway, but I'm going to try to get this going. So on my day off, I'm probably going to focus on only 2 books, or at least I'm going to try to finish up. Well, I probably won't finish it by tomorrow, because I'm not one of those people who can read 24 hours. Like, I can't read all day because I like to watch, TV and get lost in that black hole that is the internet. So, and unfortunately, because it's tomorrow Sunday, so, like, the Village bookstore will be closed anyway, so, I'm reading Lincoln and the Bardo by George Saunders. This is one of those books that was nominated for a prize, the Man Booker Prize, actually. I appreciate how the stickers aren't covering the words. That's when, all I ask is, if you have to put stickers on books, just don't cover the title. That's, if that's possible. But, this is basically it's right after, or I think it's during the Civil War era, and President Lincoln's son, William, just died, and it's about his grief, and it's how he and his wife are dealing with that. But we also are getting the perspective of, we're in the grave, in the cemetery where Willie is, where he's buried, so we interact with some of the ghosts and Willie himself. Like, there's little excerpts it's not written like the writing style is not traditional prose. It's actually written like little excerpts. I mean, there are times where it is written like regular prose, but most of the time it's just little blurbs and excerpts from, like, either the other ghosts that reside in the cemetery, Willie himself, or like there's these excerpts from people who work in the president's household, like the servants, or there's journalists or doctors. just talking about and observing this whole scenario, and it's basically looking at grief and how it affects people, and you get to see, like I said, you see the perspective of the people that have died and how they handle it. And I guess in a way they're kind of in a limbo like state. And we go to like at one point we do go to, I think we go to heaven and we talk to Christ, and he decides, who's worthy to go to heaven and stuff like that. It's a beautiful story, and I think for most people who do cry in books, because I have a heart of stone and apparently can't cry in books. I think it will tear you up a little bit. It's sad and it's kind of bittersweet. I don't know if it's gonna end happy or if it's gonna end in a sort of positive note or not. I feel like if you are a Christian and believe that there's a heaven, because I know not everybody believes that, then I think going to heaven, I think some people would still see that as a positive. Because it's paradise. You're finally at peace. You're happy. Although not everybody sees it like that. So I'm probably gonna finish, and it's because of the way it's written, it makes it a little easier to read. It doesn't take as long to read, because I definitely am a slow reader. There are people that are slower than me, of course, but I'm not a speed reader. I'm not a fast reader. So I like how it's kind of, the format allows me to read a little bit faster. And I think there's over 100 chapters in this book, I think. I'm not sure, because the chapter numbers are Roman numerals, and I always have to go on the internet and look back and see what each little symbol stands for, and how which Roman numeral does. But anyway, it's kind of confusing. I have to keep checking, and I think the little C, when it's the C is the first letter, then I think that usually means 100, but I'm not sure. I'm also still reading Lives of Locke Lamora. This is basically where now Locke has, the last time I think I talked about how Locke has been cornered by the Grey King, who has become a serious threat to all the criminal underworld of Kamar. And when Locke gets kidnapped by the Grey King, who forces him to be with the help of his mage, to pretend to be him for one night and talk to and have negotiations with Kappa Barsarvi, but Marsavi. I still don't know how to say that. But of course, the Kappa wants Jean and Locke to be there at this meeting, because he finally, the Grey King finally tells him, requests this meeting, but the way he goes about it is he does the worst thing by killing the Kappa's daughter, Nazca, who was a friend of Locke's and was the woman that I talked about in the last one. That was the Kappa had wanted Locke and her to get married. So because he doesn't trust his two sons, he would rather have Locke be in charge. And also, I think he figures Locke will protect his daughter. So with all that going on, Locke, and the last thing I read was Locke is trying to, do the typical thing of experiencing pleasure to de-stress, as in sex with a whore, but because this whore is not the woman that he loves, who is another that was part of their little group, it doesn't do anything for him. That's the last thing I read. Oh, and also I read that we got to a part where in the past, Locke meets John for the first time when they're kids. And his first impression of John is like, he's not one of us, he won't fit in with the group. But then John proves he's got quite the temper and can be pretty aggressive and kind of beats up Locke. And Locke also gets humbled because he finds out that John lost his own parents like a year ago. And unlike Locke and the Sansa brothers, John hasn't been able to get used to it, so he's grieving their loss still and struggling with being an orphan and everything. So, Locke gets a bit of a push down. And in fact, their boss almost was like, because he demonstrates that John has has some talents that prove that he is part of their group. He is one of them, and their talents that Locke doesn't have. And because of that, Locke almost doesn't get to eat because he doesn't win in the demonstration. I really want to get what's this? This must be like a piece of dirt or something. I really need to get Red Seas Under Red Skies. I hope I get that this year for my birthday. My birthday is in May, so in a few weeks. And I really need to get Red Seas Under Red Skies. So the first 3 books. Because unfortunately, since My Books A Million is small, it doesn't always get the whole series. And then, of course, the Gibbons bookstore won't necessarily have this kind of book. Or some of the other series. Like, it's more prone to have something like this, which I have seen there before, and I think that's where I got this book, actually. So I'm more prone to, like, I might find a Stephen King book there, or a more literary book there, some of the more literary books, or some of the ones that have won some prizes and stuff like that, in romance novels and all that stuff. So, and I mean, as I said a million times, both on videos and to the cashiers, the good thing about that is I get to expand my horizons a little bit and get other different types of books other than like the popular fantasy books. So, and I mean, the Books money is not that far. I really need to learn how to control my spending. So it's good that Books money is not in walking distance. But I always still manage to get a book at the Gibbons bookstore, so there's the problem. So those are the books I'm probably going to focus on tomorrow. And I'm probably also going to watch some more Buffy, and I just started season 5 this morning, or right before I left for work. So I'm probably going to do that. And I did make a list of stuff that I need to do, like vacuum my room again. I probably need to try to clean my bathroom a little bit, like at least, at least my toilet and my tub. And let's see, what else do I need to do? And then, I also want to reorganize one of my drawers. I have small space drawers. I mean, they're a good, decent size, but they're kind of small. So I'm like, with all the clothes that I have, I'm kind of shoving things in there, and unless I organize them and fold them a certain way, then they don't always fit perfectly. And sometimes I don't get to all those stuff I have in there. At least the closet, I don't have as much problem anymore, because basically everything is in there, And with the fact that we now live here, we don't have as much space, so all my clothes, all season clothes are out. Like I used to when I was living in Maryland, because we had so much more space, I could put my seasonal clothes away. I mean, I do have the entrance to our attic, because we do have an attic in this house, is in my room, in my closet, so I could put my stuff in there. But we also, have Christmas stuff and all that, so. Anyway. And so that's a little off topic. A little personal note. And, one other thing, I actually reorganized my bookshelf again. You can see, you probably can't really tell anyway, but, I've organized it now to where, and I think I've done this before, and this was because I have so many unread books, so I couldn't, for a second I thought about the idea of turning your books around so that you don't see the spines, you see the pages. But then I was like, I have so many unread books, and I mean, more than half of my shelf would be turned around if I did that. So what I decided to do, was over there. I have that shelf. I have the shelf over there with all the books that I have read, and then the top up top is where all the books that I'm in the middle of, because I've had that problem where I start reading a book, but then I decide, oh, I want to read something else. Especially with the really long, dense books. And so all those books where I've started it, so there's the bookmark books, not books I've DNF'd, because I actually had a friend who didn't really understand the concept of a DNF, so I had to explain it to her that when I DNF books, that most of the time that usually means I'm not going to come back to the book. I'm done with the book. I'm going to get rid of it. But this is one of my friends that doesn't read as much as I do, so it's understandable that she doesn't necessarily know that when I DNF a book, it means I'm not coming back to it. And then the rest of the shelf is books that I haven't read. So I've bought a lot of books since I moved here. So the only downside of that is I have a lot of series that are not together. But I'm also not one of those people who's bothered by stuff like that. I mean, sometimes I'll, if my attention is drawn to it, then I'll think about it for a minute, but most of the time, it's not gonna be like, oh no, I have to have the series together, or, that's why I'm cool with why I'm one of the many people who does the rainbow, who likes doing the rainbow shelf. First, I think it's pretty, and I'm, 30 years old, because, on, either Books and Kayla from Books and Lala said it, I think that apparently there are people, but of course that was a long time ago when I saw her do a video where she said that, but I remember her saying that there are apparently some people who think that it's immature and silly to do the rainbow shelf. Of course, again, that was a long time ago, so maybe I'm totally wrong, maybe I misheard, or maybe people don't think like that anymore. That's why I'm basically 30 now, and I mean, I'm not gonna be 30 for another few weeks, but I may as well say I'm 30. I like the rainbow shelf. I think it's pretty. I don't think it's immature at all. So anyway, would love to know what you guys have been reading lately. What are you going to read tomorrow? Feel free to share in the comments below. And if you'd like this video, be sure to give a thumbs up and click subscribe if you haven't already. And I will talk to you all later. I hope you are enjoying your reading. Bye!